Yes, record us, dude.
It's going.
Where's the camera? Great. Welcome back, everybody. Yes, it's going great. How is everybody doing? I know, maybe we should do reality checks for everybody.
That's right. Put everybody in their place.
In the good place where they're meant to be. Yes.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the Hype Mind. Welcome. It's like a peaceful night, dude. I feel like a monk right now.
Yeah, you feel at peace?
So unstable, though.
Well, yeah, let's talk about security.
Yes.
Especially,
okay.
we're talking about emotional security.
Yeah. So, this question came up because of something that has occurred to me in the past, which you thought was interesting. And it's just funny. It's almost like it's powerful, right? So let me tell you guys about it. Sometimes I get insecure about stuff. Everybody's got insecurities, so your insecurities, I know mine. And a lot of times when I get insecure, I get stuck on that, and my mind just overthinks things and gets drawn into the negatives, and it doesn't matter what I tell myself, what I remind myself, what I know is true, because those feelings are strong, they're overwhelming for me. And thank God I've become so much better at this. But one of the beautiful things that happens is the minute I start correcting that mindset, and the minute the real turning point occurs where I actually find security and I actually genuinely calm down, right? And I not just this telling myself, oh, A, B, and C is true, right? It's actually believing it. The minute I actually remind myself of something and convince myself and actually believe it, the number of times what I wanted to happen that I was fearful of because it wasn't happening, or that I was fearful wouldn't happen, happens instantly, not even joking, right? So that's been the insane thing. Like, numerous occasions, I'm talking at least 5 to 10 times, it has instantly come to be the second I have believed the new, better narrative I've told myself. And sometimes I tell myself that, and it happens within, there have been other times where it'll happen within 5 minutes, within 2 minutes, within 20 minutes, within an hour. And I'll be like, see, I was overthinking for nothing, right? But the amazing thing that I've experienced is the minute I actually believe all the effort and work I put into, overcoming that insecurity, that fear, that overthinking, the minute I actually believe it in my heart, is almost instantly, and on multiple occasions has been, followed by what I wanted. Isn't that nuts?
It is nuts. It's like magic, because
it is like magic. It really is.
What's happening in here, and the physical actually changes too.
Right. Well, and I think it's
which is cool.
I think
go ahead and give me that power.
Yeah. Well, I think what it is once you actually believe it, that power, you actually project that out. And I think it also, as crazy as this sounds, right? But I believe that everybody's connected spiritually in many different ways, right? And I think what happens is, a lot of times, whatever you're focusing on and you believe in your heart, you know what you want, that desire, that focus, and you believe you can have it, or you believe it'll happen in the future, and you believe you don't need to be insecure about whatever's not happening or whatever is happening that you don't like. I believe that there's actually energy that isn't just transmitted into the world around you. It's actually transmitted to whatever that specific thing is, right? So, like, I can give you an example. That's
kind of tough to believe.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, share that example.
But, well, and that's the thing, is living it. That's where my rational mind has brought me to. It's like, having seen this, I'm like, this must be an example of that connection that everybody shares. The deeper connection, right? The deeper connection that you won't always see. And it also, in my opinion, is a reward for connecting on that deeper level. You know, it's because you came to a place of security about something that you were really struggling with. You get to see firsthand the reward of living in such a beautiful, joyful state.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's instantly. Sometimes that reward is instant, right? But there was one time someone hadn't reached out to me, and it was very unusual, and um, it was upsetting. It made me question a lot of things. I was like, wow, why wouldn't they reach out to me? This is not like them. I know they're okay. That's not a concern. Um, Whatever, right? And I started to really get in my head for quite, and it always starts small. That anxiety usually starts small, unless it's something you wake up to and realize something, and it'll hit you really hard. Usually that anxiety starts small, and you start to realize it's there, and it starts to
Yeah, you
grow,
keep
right? And
focusing on it more, and
yep,
it keeps
it
nagging you.
snowballs, and then you try to get it under control, right? But the minute I believed that there was nothing to worry about, and then I was in my head, that person literally, as I said, as I felt the feeling of complete security wash over me, at the exact same time, that person called me. At the same time, didn't even finish feeling that security wash over me. It was just starting to wash over me, and they called instantaneously, right? And I've had other experiences where, like, I'll think of someone and I'll be like, "Well, I haven't heard from them in a long time. It'd be really nice to hear from them." All of a sudden, they'll call me within 10 minutes, and I'll be like, "That's weird," but it's true,
It is
And
like
those weren't
magic. Like I said, it is
those
like
weren't
magic.
instances of insecurity. Yeah, it is like magic.
Pretty
But again,
incredible.
I think there's that connection.
Right. And like I said, it is kind of hard to believe that connection. I believe it does change you to have a mindset of security, because if you change here, this is where you operate and you influence your actions. So it's going
Right.
to change like the things you do if you change how you think up here, and if it's coming from a secure place. That's more of a confident place.
Well, I don't even think
But
it's all mental, though.
say that again.
I don't even think it's all mental, which is where you might be going.
Right. If there is such a spiritual realm, I don't know how that works, but that's really magnificent. And how,
Well,
if there's a connection there and you're able to make that connection, and that changes the physical as well, that's
right. It changes everything.
that's beyond, man. Yeah,
But I'm glad you bring up you don't know. You said, I don't know how to, like, prove that, right? And
correct.
that's great, because a lot of people would be inclined to say, that sounds like some superstitious religious,
Hmm.
whatever, right? And that's where I would really motivate anybody to pick up Wayne Dyer's book, The Power of Intention, right? Because he talks about this connection, and he talks about it from a non-religious standpoint, which is very beautiful, because I do believe this connection exists. I think it exists from a religious standpoint too, but I think you can understand it from a non-religious standpoint. And if you want to understand it, the place to go is Wayne Dyer's book. He did a great job articulating it. He really did. Um, but I honestly think that's what I am experiencing in those moments. The minute I come there, I think it's deeper than just the mind. I think it's actually a whole body or heartfelt experience, where your body actually spiritually connects with someone, usually the person in that scenario, right? So, like, and of course, this is all just hypothetical. I mean, I can't prove any. Hopefully, you could live this experience, because it is a beautiful experience. I
It's
would
funny because I
I
have
would
lived an
wish it upon
experience like
everybody.
this. I don't like, I can't disprove that there's a connection there, but
Right.
and why would I want to? I mean, I think that's a beautiful thing. If you're able to see that happen in your life, where you create security here, and instantly the physical changes to where you're, um like in your circumstance, it worked in your favor, where you're wondering about this person, and
Well,
why
and I
they
want to
haven't
get into
reached
that
out to
too.
you, and then they did. I mean, that's pretty incredible. And if that happens, great. But like, otherwise, I'm gonna try to find security here anyways. So if
Right.
something happens in a different realm that I can't understand, great, let it be.
Well, and with some of the different understandings that I have learned, recently, I do think it could be very closely tied to the heart, right? Because here's the thing is, when I hit a level of security, that wasn't just convincing myself. It was a wholehearted, in this moment, I believe it, right? Or in this moment, and it was a goodness, right? It was actually it was a beautiful thing. Um, and I'm going to go back to the example I said of, there I was one day thinking about, I haven't heard from that person in a long time. And then 10 minutes later, they call me, right? And that's a scenario where I think you unknowingly communicate goodness, right? You unknowingly send out this signal to another person and they don't even know it because it's so subtle and at such a high vibration, you're not used to living it, that they, but it's a good signal, right? It's not wishing ill upon someone. It's you're sitting there thinking about someone because you're genuinely interested in their life and their well-being.
It
And
makes
that
me think of
signal,
what Jesus says in the Bible when he says faith can move mountains.
right,
Kind
right.
of
Well, and that's,
like
yeah,
don't understand it at first. How can faith move mountains? But like here, you're explaining how this like there's can actually be physical change.
well, and again, this is just speculation, right? But I think
Yeah.
what happens is, because you're genuinely curious about the well-being of another person, and there's nothing, so it's purely a beautiful, heartfelt desire. A signal gets sent out at a ridiculously high frequency that only their heart could read, maybe theoretically.
Yeah.
They don't even know it, right? All that happens is in their mind, they go, man, I haven't spoken to that person. I'll call them, right? And so there you are, not even knowing you sent this signal out, but because it was a beautiful, pure signal, it was sent out. So they call you, right? They think about you too, right? Or maybe they don't call you. Maybe you don't talk for a week later because you call them a week later and they say, oh, I was actually thinking about you at noon on Tuesday. And you go, what?
Hold on, wait a second. I think my mom's signaling me.
Sending out
Oh,
pure.
all right, keep going.
but but that's what I think it is a signal, that you send out, right? So it's the same thing that I've witnessed in security, right? Where the minute, on a deep level, I truly believe that there's nothing to be insecure about, I think the same heartfelt signal gets sent out, that boom, I am secure and I am genuinely interested in the other person's, I'm genuinely interested in loving the other person wholeheartedly in this moment. And whether they know it or not, their heart receives that. And so whether they even reach out to you, they might think that, they might say, wow, I'm thinking of the person who was insecure right now, not knowing that you were insecure. And, or not even a person, it doesn't have to be a person. It can be a thing too. Um, it can be, which that's a lot more complicated to try to explain, but, and so you might, like I said, a week later, you might be chatting and they might say, yeah, I took a picture for you Tuesday because I suddenly was thinking about you at 7 p.m., Tuesday night. And so I took a picture of myself, um, you know, out to dinner because I was having such a good time and I knew you'd love to see it. Right. And you go, what? You're like, right about 7 p.m. I, I, on a genuine level, overcame a struggle related to you, or I overcame a poor belief. Right. And so the easy examples with people, that's a lot of how I've experienced it. But the same thing goes for things I want. If I worry about money or something I need, the minute I become secure in it, often it'll show up.
I hear those stories, and those stories are cool, like really cool, because I hear stories like that.
Right. And it seems far-fetched, but I think it's just getting in touch with a deeper side of yourself that is not always easy to get in touch with. But as long as you put the work in, if you take the right course of action, it'll click just right. Right. And it won't always happen because it's not always easy. But I've experienced it so many times that it's one of the last time I experienced it, I literally said, what am I worrying about? The last time I was worried about something silly, something great happened seconds after I stopped worrying. And that's when it clicked, dude. It was nuts. It was absolutely bizarre. It was like the best roller coaster ride of your life. You're just like, I can't believe that happened. But
That's
you said you had a similar experience. Did you want to share?
Yeah, well, this was when I was on my backpacking trip a long time ago. And I was well prepared for,
You're so old.
indeed, I was well prepared for the circumstance where I would be stranded for a while and have basically no food, no water, or no access to food or water or shelter, and would be basically stuck in the middle of nowhere because I was
Right.
hitchhiking. And while hitchhiking, there were moments where I really felt like I needed a ride. Like, I mean, I was going places. I was trying to get south as fast as I could
Right.
into warmer weather because it was pretty cold. And when I really felt like I needed a ride, I would never get a ride. But and this happened several times, as soon
Right.
as I felt secure and that I was okay and I didn't need a ride, and I was, I was ready to just be like, whatever.
To
Like,
tough it up. Yep.
yeah, exactly.
Stick it out.
I had the mindset that I would be here for a week. If I didn't get a ride, so be it. I'll be fine. I have all the stuff I've brought with me, extra food, extra water, water filter. That's going to sustain me. Every time I felt secure that I was fine, I would get someone would pull over and I would get picked up. And it's funny because it happened over and over again. And as soon as that mindset I had switched into a mindset of security, I'm fine, I don't need a ride,
Right. I'll
then
make
someone pulled over and I got a ride. And it was pretty incredible how
and
often it actually happened.
that's an example of the scenarios where you're making a basically a material quest, but honestly, from my point of view, I would say it was still a signal of your heart reaching out to other open hearts in the area, if I had to guess. Um, because again, that connection exists. But yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. The minute you want something, but acknowledge you can live without it and that life will be just as great without it, is when life says, you know what? You've learned the lesson. You can have it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
which terrific. And
And it's tough.
I
It's
don't know if it's just
sometimes.
I don't know if it could be just heart connection, like,
Right.
maybe with the physical too. I mean,
Well, I think that's part of it. I do think it's a spiritual, probably heart connection. But I think it's a result of being completely secure in that moment of who you are, to where your heart can just completely open up into whatever it needs to do.
mm-hmm.
And at the same time, it actually sends out a frequency that says, I am open. And other hearts say, there's an open heart, right? Or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when we refer to heart, just want to make this clear to everybody who's listening. We're referring to it as something different than the brain, which the brain is more thinking about
Right.
practical things, survival things, but this is more emotional, and based in like your beliefs and what's authentic
The
to
heart is your real core. The brain works for the heart if you're doing it right. But
you.
that's not easy, especially in most scenarios, because of the environment and your past programming.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. Oh boy.
Yeah, so practice security, guys. You can get to a state of genuine security,
And that all
genuine
happens
self
within your beliefs.
love.
What do you believe? That all happens within your beliefs. What do you believe in
Right.
your situation, your current situation you're in? If your belief and if your belief is structured in insecurity or security, and a lot of people don't know what their beliefs are, that it's subconscious to them.
Yeah.
And they've been given their beliefs by, who knows, their parents, their religion. They're just bringing everything in their life has affected their beliefs. And it's a belief that says, I'm not secure in the situation. I'm not safe in the situation. And all you have to do is restructure that beliefs. Give yourself another belief that's going to bring you into a state of security.
And that makes me think, I honestly think that what happens is, in that moment of convincing yourself of a new belief, right? You're like, why am I being insecure about A, B, or C? Or why do I think I need A, B, or C so bad? Whatever it is, material, emotional, personal, whatever it is. The minute you genuinely believe it at your heart, you're actually touching your heart with a new root. Like a new root is driving all the way from your brain to your heart and touching your heart with a new, better belief to replace an old one that wasn't working. That's, in your, the reason you were initially insecure, or the reason you were initially worrying or freaking out or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And I think when it does that, that's when your heart grabs it and says, there's the truth. And that's why you feel that calmness. It's because it's no longer you're no longer playing a mental game. You've sent the right signal to your heart. Because I think, reading an article, your heart has 40,000 nerves in it, right? You read that article?
I don't know.
Anyway, I swear that's what I read. 40,000 nerves, right? So I think what happens is, when you send the right belief down the right nerve to your heart actually accepts it and says, there's the belief, there's the good belief. I believe that. And it grabs it, and you feel that sense of, I've felt that sense of calmness and peace and complete trust and lack of worry about whatever it was that was concerning me. And that's when that signal can get sent out to the world, to everybody you connect with, which is everybody.
That's great. I think a lot of people don't know that we function as humans off of our beliefs. Animals don't need the beliefs, and I also call it identity. They don't need an identity. Like, plants don't need identity. We as human beings, we need an identity. We need something.
Right. Well, we have an ego.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so
animals don't have egos.
And so it kind of depends where your identity's placed into. If it's placed into beliefs that are secure and insecure, it's like, and this is what everybody needs to do if they want to be highly functional human beings, is restructure their beliefs to be stable beliefs and a stable identity. If I put my identity into worldly things that disappoint, because everything in this world is going to perish, so am I, then my beliefs are unstable.
Unstable, right.
If I put my beliefs in stuff that don't perish, like spiritual things, God, then my belief, my identity is based in stabilization. And so when you don't have stable beliefs, or when you're have difficult emotions, hard emotions, which are caused from your beliefs saying you're not safe, you're not insecure, you're not gonna work well when you go to work. You're not gonna treat other people well. Like, you're not going to perform properly. So make sure you reconstruct your beliefs to be beliefs based in security, that you're loved,
I think
you're matter, that you feel important, that you have respect that's not coming from, it doesn't need to come from so and so, but it comes from something higher than you, something other. It doesn't matter if it has to be real. Like, doesn't matter if, really, essentially, it doesn't matter if, like, God's real, but even the idea of God, even having that idea that's where I'm valued, is through this idea, then and you really make yourself believe it, then you're secure. You have an identity that's secure.
Well, and I think what happens,
if someone pisses you off,
the other big part is,
you're not going to take it personally, and you could still function.
Or any circumstance. It doesn't even have to be someone pissing you off. It can be something uncomfortable happening to you, like walking down the side of the highway thinking you need a ride because the weather's cold. But
Right.
But you know, what
Absolutely.
happens is, I think your heart, which you're usually not in touch with, is it knows the truth. And so when you send it a good belief, it sees it and it accepts it, and it's able to give you that peace and calmness. So that would just be my guess. But
Right. You
you
know,
know,
it's funny. I feel
but
like this is a funny subject, especially talking about the heart, like we're talking about it, because I could see myself 5 years
it's tough
ago.
to conceptualize. It's really
Exactly.
tough to
Like,
conceptualize.
yeah, absolutely. It is tough to conceptualize. I could see myself 5 years ago just being like, what the heck? Like, I don't understand. I can't grasp that. But learn to grasp that. Try.
Well,
Um,
and that's why I would say this. It's what you want to remember is I know what I experienced, and it was so amazing that I'm willing to sit here and tell you that it was that amazing to the point where I can speak about something that I don't know that much about. Like everybody thinks they know their heart, but they don't. They're not that connected, right? But
yeah.
like what I do know is I know the the sense of peace and certainty and security that I felt in the moments and experienced. And I know that the minute I felt those or shortly thereafter, what I wanted showed up. That's what I know. And so if that's something you want, then pay attention to the stuff that is harder to grasp. Yes, it's hard to grasp some of what we've shared, and some of it, like we've both said, is difficult to not just grasp, but even believe and accept, right? But what I know is true is I know what I've experienced, and I know the results of experiencing that, and what I wanted showing up shortly after, sometimes the same second. And so that's what because that's what I want you to experience. So you can be there. You can be there too. But it definitely helps to hit subscribe so you don't miss the future videos like this
That's right.
because
That's
it's free.
right. And there'll be more
There'll
videos.
be more.
I feel like this topic needs to be talked about much more because it's hard to really explain it in one video, especially when you talk about beliefs, restructuring them, the heart, and all
Yeah.
that good stuff.
Well, it also sounds like something we need to get a guest on for to get a different outside opinion of someone who's very educated in the heart. But
That's right.
anyway,
If
that's
you
for
or anybody else you know
this.
that's well educated in the heart wants to hop on,
Yes.
sure to let us know, message us. You can
And
find our
if you just want
email
to see
in
it,
the about
stay
section in the
in the
YouTube
loop.
channel.
Yeah. This is the place to be. You're in the right spot.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
Peace.